Peace and blessings. Montague Connolly, the shaman here with a special warning. Mercury is in retrograde. Yeah, I know you hear it all the time and you're like, oh, what's the big deal? It's a season, a dangerous season, especially this Mercury retrograde. Now, for those who are new to this, that don't know what a retrograde is, when we're dealing with astrology, we look at Mercury as the planetary representation of communication, okay? The sharing of ideas, thought patterns, technology, all these things are wrapped up in Mercury. And when Mercury is spinning and moving in its right direction, we can say that those things are going to work more better than not. But a retrograde, it derives from a Latin word that means to take a step back. Because what happens is it appears in the heavens to be moving backwards. So imagine all those things, but happening backwards. So instead of a steady flow of communication, you have arguing, maybe you have technology acting up. It just really creates an environment where technology and ideas and everything is just moving sort of in a haywire motion. And it can create a very explosive environment, especially if you have an explosive personality. Now, as we look at astrology, it's very similar to our seasons. All right. So when it's winter, you're going to put a coat on. There's different behaviors you're going to do in the winter than in the summer. In the summer, you might not have clothes on. People might want to be outside more. People might want to be more expressive and go do things and be more active based. You know what I mean? So each season has behaviors and ways of acting and ways it affects most people, especially depending on your constitution. Astrology is the same way. Sometimes we enter into these seasons where you can't deal the same way you was dealing. Of course, it's esoteric. This is, secret knowledge. This is, the spirits and the energies working. And so it's not as obvious for some people. Okay. So with what I'm saying, you have to think about your personality and how past Mercury retrogrades have affected you. But I want to talk about this particular Mercury retrograde because this Mercury retrograde is in Cancer. Oh my God. What is Cancer? Well, Cancer is the sign of the home. Okay? It's the sign of the home. It's also a very emotional sign. All right? It also coincides with the mother energy. Now, add a retrograde spin on that. You might have arguing over chores, misunderstandings about plans, you might have problems in your marriage that are just seem to be stronger than usual. The emotions are just, and it's because Cancer, once again, is that energy of the first water. Okay. It's that first burst of water. So, you get out there and you're running and you're pumping and you're sweating, and that first water comes out. That sweat. That's Cancer, because Cancer is a storage sign. It likes to store things. And sometimes there's stagnation that can build up within that if there isn't some kind of flow. But with the retrograde, it's going to pinpoint those things that are getting really backed up for an explosion to occur. I've been talking to so many people just today. And man, explosive arguments left and right ever since this Mercury retrograde has taken place. Just bam, bam, bam. Talk to your friends, talk to your family. You will see that if they were kind of teetering, all weaknesses are being exploited right now. So I'm just here to give you a few tips. One, you want to cling to your hobby and not your partner during this season. Okay, of the Mercury retrograde. And the retrograde is not going to be over until about July 11th-ish. So it's going to be in there for some time. And so it's very important for you to cling to your work, cling to your hobbies, Cling to your love of self. Because if you do not, you will be baited through your love of your partner into a fight. And I'm not talking about a small fight here. I'm talking about the big one. You don't want to get baited into that fight. And that's why it's just a great practice to develop yourself before you even get into a relationship, so that you have something to work on when the relationship is under construction. Okay? You got to have your own stuff. So it's kind of like Thanksgiving. You ain't supposed to show up with a can of corn and put it on the table. You're supposed to show up with corn that is good enough to eat by itself, seasoned up, buttery, looking good to where it could be its own meal. You don't want somebody to come in and just throw some random collard greens on the counter. No, they got to come cooked, so that when people are bringing their things to Thanksgiving, all these individual meals make a full meal. But if you have not developed yourself, then you will only have an uncooked meal and be focused on your partner's meal. And when your partner's meal is not available, you're going to be starving inside because you don't have your own meal. You don't have the cornbread. You don't have no turkey, no chicken, no black-eyed peas. You got nothing but your partner's meal. And if your partner's off balance or you're off balance, that is the ammunition that is going to cause things to blow up. All right? So cling to your hobbies. Cling to your meal, your projects. Do not get too involved in your partner, because the communication's like, And if y'all already walking that line, this retrograde's going to push it. Okay? Second thing is, do not expect your partner to agree with you. They will not. And do not press the issue, because this is a great time to agree to disagree. All right? So cling to your hobbies. Do not expect your partner to agree with you. And just in general, don't expect your partner to make you happy at this point. Focus on your internal joy. Get into some yoga, some meditation, whatever your projects are. Also get into your higher self. Get into your spirituality. Check your relationship with your God, or, whatever spirits you're working with. Check that relationship. Get in tune with the earth. All right? This is a terrible time to fight. Don't fight. That's the next thing. Don't fight. Avoid confrontation right now. This is a terrible time to get caught up in your pride. Unless you think your pride, do not get fooled into that trap, because your pride is not more important than your relationship. Y'all done built all this stuff. Y'all got houses. Y'all got kids. Y'all got cars. Y'all got dreams. Y'all poured all of this, and you going to try to change your partner in one argument? A way that they've been for over 30 years, all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? You're getting baited into this argument, and you don't realize it, but you're out of your mind. And you're going to tell this person once and for all the right words that are going to change them in an instant. Don't do it. Don't take the bait. That's my next tip. Don't take the bait. If you know you guys are already teetering on that argument, don't take the bait. Because what I'm telling you is, cancer is explosive. That's explosive emotion. It's the first water. It's that first energetically. This is cardinal water. Okay? But if you do take the bait, be prepared for a flood. You may say some things that you don't really mean. It's going to get to that level. And on the other hand, you might say some things you really do mean, but that you were trying to keep to yourself. And that is part of this Mercury retrograde. Okay? Do not take the bait, but if you do, be ready for a flood. And when the flood comes, do not try to block the flow. And what I mean by the flow is the flow of bodies. Okay? So let's say you're arguing, blah, blah, blah. They want to walk away. Do not get in their way. Let it flow. Let it go. You already took the bait. Let it go. Let it go cool off. This is that first, after that first water of pumping and sweating, you got sore muscles that need to rest. So if you're going to take the bait, stop as soon as you can and be ready for a long resting period. This is a death. Okay? It's a death. You got to look at it as a death in the relationship. And if you're strong, it'll be born again. If you have a lot of history and you guys have a lot of triumph, it will make you stronger if you have the right tools. But if you don't, it could be the end. Okay? But do not get into the trap of following the person around or trying to block the person or nothing that deals with stagnation once you take that bait. All right? And my last bit of advice is just to eat as healthy as you can. Eat clean, eat really clean. Get your chlorophyll in your system. Take your magnesium, your silica, get those fresh meals in, meals that have spirit, not things that are all dying or processed. Get things that are bursting with life, things that have color, smell, things that people have put love into. Get that into your system so that you're prepared what's going to come. But we can't deal with fear here. When the death comes, if you take that bait and it gets to that level, at that point, you got to let the healing happen and back off for a while. All right? But it doesn't have to get there if you know what season you're in. And right now, we're in Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Thanks.